Hello, I'm Lora Windsor. I'm a social worker, and for the last 20 years, I've specialized in grief counseling. I facilitated grief groups for Conley Outreach Community Services for 15 years, and I've discovered that many people who are grieving like to read books about grief. And I'd like to tell you about a novel about grief that I see is very popular. Everybody I know who's read it has loved it. It's by a very prolific author named Elizabeth Berg. Maybe you've read something by her. And the book is called The Story of Arthur Truluv. Arthur is 85 years old. And he, let me read to you the opening line of the book, the opening paragraph. In the 6 months since the November day that his wife Nola was buried, Arthur Moses has been having lunch with her every day. He rides the bus to the cemetery, and when he gets there, he takes his sweet time walking over to her plot. She will be there no matter when he arrives. She will be there and be there and be there. So Arthur goes to the cemetery every day. And one day he sees a girl. He thinks she's about 14 or 15 years old. Turns out later he finds out that she's 18 years old. And she has had a loss as well. And the book is about the different perspectives, experiences with grief. One from an 85-year-old and one from an 18-year-old. So eventually they spot each other at the cemetery, and they do eventually connect. When Arthur goes to the cemetery, he makes up stories about the words that he sees on a headstone. He fills in the gaps, and that's something that he does to kind of entertain himself. For Maddie, the 18-year-old, from her perspective, Elizabeth Berg writes, Maddie was half asleep when she saw that old man look over at her and wave. When he did, her hand flew up to her mouth and he turned away, then shuffled off with his little fold-up chair. She hadn't meant to do that, make him think she was afraid. Things don't come out right. If she sees him again, she'll ask him who's in the grave. His wife, she imagines, though you can't be sure. One of my favorite paragraphs is why it is that Maddie likes walking in the graveyard. And Elizabeth Berg writes, most people find graveyards sad. Maddie finds them comforting. She wishes her mother had been buried here and not cremated. Once she heard a guy on the radio say that the cities of the dead are busy places, and it was one of those moments when it felt like a key to a lock. They are busy places. Maddie's mother had died in a car crash, and this is how it's described. Maddie never knew her mother. She died in a car crash 2 weeks after Maddie was born. She'd been on the way to a doctor's appointment. Maddie's father had come home early from work to drive her, but Maddie had a cold and her mother didn't want to take her out. So she told Maddie's father to stay home with Maddie. She'd drive herself. Someone who ran a red light drove into her. So that sets the stage for the relationship between Arthur and Maddie. Eventually, Maddie starts calling him Arthur Truluv, thus the name of the book, The Story of Arthur Truluv. She calls him Truluv because she sees how devoted he is to visiting his deceased wife at the cemetery. Eventually in the story, a third person joins them, and her name is Lucille. Lucille is 83 years old, and she's had her own losses. In some ways, Lucille's my favorite character in the book, and one of the reasons is she likes to bake, and there are wonderful descriptions in the book of the things that she likes to bake. In fact, one of her favorites, what Lucille is known for, is her orange blossom cookies. And there wasn't a recipe in the book for the orange blossom cookies, but I did find recipes online and made them for friends, and it was a big hit. It's just a little quirk about the book that I like. So everyone I know who has read the book has loved it. The author seems to really get grief, the little nuances that she writes about. The descriptions seem to be right on, and it's definitely a feel-good book. So you may want to go check it out. The Story of Arthur Truluv by Elizabeth Berg.